right. You ready for another one? Yeah, all right. We have a very funny guy coming up to the stage. He gave me a very lengthy, long note, which I tried to memorize, but unfortunately I'm going to have to look at the pad, because it's just so long and lengthy. All right, here we go. He says that he recently moved to the posh, upscale community of Jersey City, where he makes a living abusing small computers and writing and performing comedy. And he's obviously done well. I've seen him before. Put your hands together and bring up to the stage Dan Croman.
Good evening. Nice to see you all. Just want to let you know, I didn't date at all while I was in high school, for the obvious reason, I'm gay. When I got home, I went away to college, and when I came home from my freshman year of college, my parents had arranged my first date. Irene Solomon, the daughter of the Temple's board president. This was an impressive match. They were a very good family. So I knew I couldn't get out of this, but I only had to put up with it for the summer while I was home. It was fine. I went over to the Solomons' house, knocked on the door. Mr. Solomon met me at the door and invited me inside. We sat down in his study. He asked me a little about the family. He told me a little about his furniture business. He asked me a little bit about how school was. Then he showed me his picture of the family. He had him, Mrs. Solomon, his son Nathan, his daughter Irene, and 3 empty chairs. I thought it was a little strange, but I didn't say anything. He said, "I'd like to introduce you to Irene." We went into the parlor. Irene was sitting in a chair with 3 empty chairs next to her. There was tea at each place, and then she had a cup for me. I thought this is a little odd, but they left us alone, and Irene and I chatted a bit. Turned out she's a very nice girl, very attractive young lady, if you like that sort of thing. So we chat. Every couple of minutes she turns to one of the chairs and asks a question of the chair. After a couple of times I say, "Excuse me, but who are you talking to?" And she says, "Oh, I'm sorry, forgive me. I didn't introduce you. This is Sir Ronald, Lady Elaine, and Tommy, my best friends." They look like empty chairs to me. I excuse myself and go home. I say to my parents, "Look, this is not going to work out. This girl is a little bit nuts." My parents say, "Look, you're shy. You've never been on a date before. It always seems that way. Don't worry about it. You have to go through with this for us." I said, "Okay, fine. I'll invite her out." I call her up. I invite her to go out to the theater. She insists that Sir Ronald, Lady Elaine, and Tommy have to come with us. So I borrow my father's station wagon. She's an expensive date. You know what 5 theater tickets cost? Dinner and drinks for 5, but they didn't touch a thing on their plates. So we're leaving the restaurant, and as we're walking out, Irene says, "Sir Ronald says you've had too many drinks to drive. He's driving." I said, "Okay." I gave her the keys. We sat in the back seat. After 40 minutes in the parking lot, I suggested I was probably now sober enough to drive us home. She conferred with Ronald. He agreed reluctantly. I dropped her off at home, and I went home, went to bed. The next morning, Mr. Solomon called. He said, "I'd like to see you over here at the house. Irene told me about the date." I said, "Okay." I went over to the house. He sat me down in the study, and he said, "Irene told me about the date. She had a wonderful time. We're so happy that you're taking an interest in her. Have you considered what you're doing for a career after college? I have an opening in the business. You could come in as a salesman, and after the wedding, a management position." Now I know it's time to get out of here. This is going to be my summer to come out, I can tell. So I go on. We go out once or twice more. And I decide it's time. I have to come up with a way to get out of this. I'm going to start subtly. So I get my ear pierced. Thought it would work. I go over to the Solomons. Mrs. Solomon takes one look and she says, "Oh my God," and runs out of the room, comes back a moment later with a box and hands it to me. I look inside, 2 1-carat diamond earrings from Tiffany's. She says, "Our first gift to our new son-in-law." I'm wearing one. Obviously that didn't work, so I thought I'll have to go for stronger tactics. I invite them all to go out to the movies. I selected very carefully. First thing, we go see La Cage aux Folles. The next night, Tootsie, then Victor Victoria, and Torch Song Trilogy. Mr. Solomon offers to buy us a house after the wedding. I decide we'll have to go for desperate measures. I take them to the Mine Shaft. It's an S&M club in the West Village. Mrs. Solomon loves the leather outfits. Mr. Solomon wonders why there's not a fun place like this in Teaneck. He offers to make me a full partner right out of college. So, I have to go for really desperate measures. I find myself talking to an empty chair. Lady Elaine, look, you're the only one she really listens to. Would you explain it to her? Didn't work. Mr. Solomon calls me up. He says, "I need to talk to you again." I come over. He says, "Look, we found the perfect caterer." I said, "That's it. I cannot take this anymore. Mr. Solomon, we have to talk. I'm gay." So, pauses for a moment. He says, "Okay, look, we'll buy you a summer house on Fire Island. We want a nice Jewish boy to marry our daughter." I said, "But Mr. Solomon, I'd be more interested in your son Nathan." He says, "Fine, try her for a year. If it doesn't work out, we'll talk." Thank you. You've been a great audience.